live stream creating a Twitter bot, which I hope won't take particularly long because it's a pretty straightforward concept. It's going to be taking the images from David Lublin's TV face bot, which posts faces it's able to find on television streams very frequently, and also matches that with some statement prefaced by an MFW, my face when. Thinking what we're going to use for the input there is going to be other tweets. Of course, since we're using other people's content, we're also going to be sure to use Darius's word filter module so that we are eliminating at least the most easily detected hate speech, slurs, that kind of thing. We don't want a Tay situation on our hands. So first thing I'm going to do is, I guess, set up the modules that I'm going to use. I'm going to be writing this in Node just because that's something I'm relatively familiar with and should be able to spin up quickly. I'm going to install Twit for the Twitter module, word filter for the filtering of phrases that we don't like, and also I'm going to bring in Lodash, which is a utility belt kind of situation that fills in a lot of gaps that you would expect to have in a standard library, but that at least most versions of Node do not. I mean, this is Node for you right here, right? Here's my 3 low-impact libraries. I guess Twit owns most of these. So bring those in. Let me start with what I've already done. I've already created an account on Twitter. I've already verified that account by responding to an email, and then I've gotten application access keys using Twirl, which is a Ruby interface for doing kind of a curl with OAuth built in. It's the easiest way that I have found to log in to various API programs with the account you want to use them with. You just send it an authorized command, give it the consumer key and the consumer secret, then it sends you to a web page, you log in with the bot and bring back the PIN and it saves your credentials. So let's start with what we're going to want to do. So of course, bring in libraries. Oops, you can tell I've been writing Python recently. Bring in libraries, initialize Twitter API, REST, search for MFW content, string replacement on returned, get face from TV facebot, pair them up, and tweet. So, starting at the beginning, we'll do standard underscore or Lodash. Character is the underscore. Bring in the twit module as uppercase twit for itself. And then we'll also bring in credentials, which I've saved into a JSON file, so I don't have to worry about them being exposed in this process. So we'll load up credentials. Oh yeah, I don't need a .json for locals. And I'm going to use the test object, which is something I've got set up to a different account from the bots, so I can send stuff out without polluting the bots feed in case we need to do anything like that before we actually are finished. So then we'll get set up with our Twitter instance, which will do t equals new twit, and then I think I just pass it the credentials in there. I'm just checking the documentation in another window. Bear me 1 second. Yes. So new twit is credentials. So now using that Twitter object, we can do things like search for tweets containing I love when or I hate when, which we'll call function phrase search with the phrases and I guess top, which is where we can specify if we're going to be searching for just top tweets or if we want to bring in all of the most recent ones. I don't remember how to actually do that right now though, so let's leave that alone for now. Let's just go with the default results. So phrase search with phrases is going to be, let's see, t dot get search tweets params and callback. Let's put callback in the signature up there. Okay, and so for phrases, let's do this. Phrases equals phrases dot join or so take array of phrases, or them together, search and send to callback. So to use that, we're just going to do something along the lines of phrase search, I love when, or I hate when. Oh, you know what? We're going to want to make sure the quotes actually get across there. So I'm going to make the strings themselves single quoted so the double quotes get brought in. And then the callback for it could be something like filter. Let's do slur filter will be that action. So slur filter is going to take tweets, right? Oh wait, sorry. First it'll be error data response is what's going to get passed to it. If error console.error searching tweets. Right, otherwise, if there's not an error, then we're going to return. What will we return? We'll do filter data, and then it's tweets. Okay, yeah, filter the tweets from the data for, right, actually, let's do this. Call this cleanup candidates. So we just want to break this up a little bit so that cleanup candidates is going to be a function that takes the whole response, then it's going to run the slur filter on what comes through, and then we'll return back the ones that are actually good. So let's do it this way. Slur filter each tweet will filter data.tweets for slur filter. Clean tweets are the result of putting each of the tweets through the slur filter, and then we'll return those clean tweets of return just the text for each of those clean tweets. I'm going to check on these actual keywords here because I forget if it's actually text or status that it's called, but we'll get to that in a second. Slur filter itself will be, right, we need to go up here and set up our word filter module that we got from Darius so we can get that going. Okay, and so now slur filter we're going to use very simply. We're just going to return if word filter dot blacklisted tweet dot text, right? Yeah. So this way, if it comes up as having anything that's blacklisted in the text, then we'll return false, which means it will not come back in the set of what we're calling clean tweets over here. So actually, before I get any further, I just want to make sure that I'm using the correct keywords for the things that I'm doing. Oh, actually, before I do that, let's finish this function real quick, where params is going to be Q, which is the search query, is what we're going to go with. The phrases, now that we've joined them with ORs. And for a count, I guess let's do 50. That should give us more than enough to work with. Right? Okay. So now we'll do a phrase search, which then calls cleanup candidates. Oh, actually, this is really bad asynchronous design because now I'm just returning values straight up the callback chain, and that's not going to work out well. But before I fix that up, let's go back and just do twit equals require twit require credentials dot test t equals new twit fed credentials. Oh, wait a minute, what? Oh, wait a minute, did we actually not? No, we've got twit. Oh, I see what it was. That was a bad typo. All right, really quickly here, bring that all back in. New twit with a capital T with our credentials. Whoops. No one saw that. Okay, so now that we have T, we can test our tget search tweets, and then let's say that the params we're going to pass it are just like over here, which is I hate when, or I love when. For the count here, I'm just going to do 5 because I want to actually deal with it in a reasonable way. And then the callback will be function error data response constable.log data, and that should just spit out the whole thing. Okay, and then for each one of these, each tweet has, yes, .text is the right name for it. Okay. So yeah, then actually what we have going on over there should work. Okay. The callback I'm going to use here is actually going to be a new one that we're going to use, which will be to get callback data, cleanup candidates, slur filters that. So what I want to do here is actually something like a pick and pick and substitute, let's call it. And this will actually be the one that we pass error data and response to from above. So this is actually going to be the callback. Pull this out real quick, reuse it. So we're going to simplify cleanup candidates. We're just going to pass it tweets And we'll filter those tweets through the slur filter and return back just the text for each of them in its own array. Pick and substitute will be all right, I meant to see over here what the, does it have a tweets object or is it just, okay, yeah, no, it's, been a while since I've actually done a Twitter bot that feeds from Twitter searching, so this is actually more work than it should be. Let's just return one of these to get an idea of what it looks like. And what it looks like is, oh right, statuses is the name of it. It's not tweets. Yeah, okay. All right. So we'll do setting up our clean tweets here is clean up candidates data.statuses. And status to use will be, let's see, sample of clean tweets. So that will just grab one from what gets returned. Realizing up here we'll probably want to do more than just filter slurs. Let's just call it tweet filter to kind of genericize that. And we'll do var no good if there's a blacklisted word, or if tweet.text index of @ is greater than -1. Okay, so this way we're making sure it has no blacklisted words and also that it's not mentioning anyone. That should be a decent first pass at tweets we don't want to use. Update this reference to tweet filter. So now pick and substitute has a status that it wants to use. Cleanup candidates already reduced everything to just its text, so we don't have to make any selection there. And now we will want to do the substitute, which is going to be a, I guess, pattern match for where we find hate it when or love when. So let's do substart equals status to use dot index of when let's do this really quickly, just again to sanity check myself here. Boy, don't you hate when get how to code on camera. Index of 8, 14, and we do not splice is we want want to, yeah, slice, not splice. Slice at 14 would give us hate when you. Nice. All right. Truncate at end of sentence or line. But for the time being, we'll have our text to use is going to be, oops. Text to use is going to be status to use dot slice sub start. So that will only give us what comes after the first when. And in front of that, we'll want to put a face when. Okay, and so that's how we get the text we're going to use. Let's also get a function going here for get face, which for the time being we're not going to give any extra parameters to, because what get face is going to do is, well, actually let's give it a callback. Get face is going to run a Twitter search of, let's see, twitter.get timeline / user timeline, where the parameter we're going to use is username tfacebot, and let's just grab its 25 most recent to draw from, and then make a callback with it. And what we actually want to grab out of there is, this is get face is not a good name for this. Search facebot. Get face would actually be the one that we run with what comes back from that. We're fetching TV facebot timeline. And then if there's not an error, we'll go ahead here, and with our response we will pluck a random one. Oh no, sorry. We will sample a random one from data.statuses. Just again quickly make sure over here that I'm actually putting this all in correctly. Timeline, user timeline with username TV facebot. Again, for the purposes of testing, we'll just do a count of 2, and then the callback data. Log data statuses. Can't remember if it actually wraps them in status object here, or if it's actually just a dumped array. So let's find out. Doesn't look like there is anything. Let's do data. Length, and then console.log data itself. Sorry, that page does not exist. Alright, I guess I got the name of that wrong. So let me just check my documentation here real quick. Oh, it's statuses / user timeline, which suggests that I probably don't need to actually do the status object wrapper. Yeah, okay, so yeah, just data itself is an array that contains tweets. So we'll do sample from data. which will pick a random tweet from the set that we've gotten, which is face tweet, var face URL, which is face tweet entities.media 0. And I'm looking over here, by the way. And I believe that what I'm looking for is just the first media object's URL, but let's just make sure. Console log data 0.entities.media. Oh, let's try that again. Oh, interesting. Oh, you know why? Because I'm pulling my timeline, not TV Facebot's. Oh, that's why. That's odd. I thought you could actually do that, but I guess it has to be someone who you're actually authorized for. So let me quickly here take a look at how I should be doing that instead. I mean, I'll probably just use search tweets from, yeah, let's just do it that way. Search tweets for query of from TV Facebot, count 2, console log data statuses.0.entity, oh, not .0, 0.entities, yes, and .url. Oh, right. Media 0.url. Okay, that's how we'll get the URL we need. So let's go back here and fix up the call we're making here. Instead, we're going to do, oops, tweets, search, query is from TV Facebot, count, again, we're going to leave it 25, and then when we get here, face tweet is sample of data.statuses, and the face URL is facetweet.entities.media, first object.url. Perfect. Then we can return face URL. And actually, it looks like Twit uses promises now, so I might actually just be able to chain these instead of doing the callback structure. Let me really quickly test that out over here in my REPL. Var join responses equals t dot get tweets / search q voodoo person count 2 and then function error data response console.log data dot statuses text text. Oh, does not look like that worked. Oh, right, because error probably doesn't get passed anymore since it's not a callback anymore. So let's just try it that way. Nothing, huh? Hmm. Alright, just give me data. Okay, so yeah, that does actually work. So let's just make a hideous chain of promise type things instead, even though that's not the best practice. So we'll get rid of these error checks that are built into the functions themselves because they're not going to be callbacks anymore. Limit what we get to just data for each of those. Get rid of these callback things for the time being. Yep. And then we'll want to have a workflow that goes something like this. It'll be something like phrase search, okay, let's keep that in mind here. Phrase search with those phrases, then let's see, what are we going to do with it then? Then I guess it's pick and substitute. And then search face. Then face URL. Actually, let's do it this way. Get face URL is going to do t.get. No, we'll do it this way. Then get face URL. Then compose. So we're not actually going to go through this chain because we're not passing the right things to do it, but this is going to be our general workflow. We're going to search for the phrase, pick and substitute from the candidate tweets to get our actual text we're going to use. Then we're also going to search for face, get the URL for that image, and then compose them together. So let's quickly build our composition function. Function compose tweets with text and face URL. Let's just call it URL. Turn text plus URL. Very simple composition. And actually, while we're doing candidates here, let's also make sure that we don't grab anything where tweet.text.length is greater than, what's it, 116, because we need to leave room for our image URL. Okay. So this is going to be our text, our URL, which is going to be search face, substitute, right? Yeah, then we're going to search face, then get face URL, and then lastly, we're going to do compose tweets. And then we're actually going to tweet it, which should be the simple part that we can just do with t.get, t.post, status is /update, status is to tweet, then res log utwote. Okay, so let's see, how are we supposed to do the thing where we want to actually make sure that both of these promises come through before we do anything with them? Let's do a promise equals require bluebird. Yep. And then promise dot when t.get statuses dot search voodoo person, then function data return sample data text. So I think it's promise.all, and we put in a couple different promises here. So the first one that we just did right there is searching for tweets from me and grabbing the text of a random one of them. And then the other one we'll put in is going to be pretty much the same. Statuses / search Q from Facebot. Return sample of the data text. Okay, so I think that by doing promise all and then function res1, res2, console.log, res1, log, res2. All right, let's see. Oops. So TODO get status searches Q wrapped, and then from function data return sample, and then that closes that function. All right, then we need to close the then. T get status search Q then function data sample data text. Close that, and close the then. That closes the when, and then another then. Of course, I'm not typing it correctly. Okay, let's take this over into a text editor and actually look at it like a human being would do. So, oops. Looks like this. Promise.all. And it's an array. And the first part of this is this followed by tget then function data return sample data dot text. Then we wrap the object, and that closes out the then. So we got tget status search Q from bot, then function data open return sample data text. That is too soon. This closes that closes that. Then we do a dot then function res2 console log. Res2 console log. Oh, the problem is that I never closed out that function. And okay, so that was one too many parentheses there. Too many parentheses there. And the issue was that I didn't close this function out. Right? That didn't work the way I'd hoped it would. Alright, I'm going to quickly look up Bluebird documentation because I know that it should be able to do this. I'm just forgetting how. So, Okay, and bring up the Bluebird API reference. And let's see what we have for all. So I feel like that was what I was supposed to be using. It's an array, files.push, async, promise. Okay, well, what happens if we don't put the then on these? Leave them only at promises themselves. So now we have promise.all, where we have an array. First object is a search for my tweets. Yep. The second object is a search for TV Facebot's tweets. Okay, and then do function responses, because I believe it passes it through. Console log responses is responses. Console log responses. Close out the then. And let's see what comes back from that, if anything. Or given an iterable or a promise of an iterable, which produces promises, iterate over all the values in the iterable into an array and return the promise that is fulfilled when all the items in the array are fulfilled. The promise's fulfillment value is an array with fulfillment values at respective positions in the original array. If any promise in the array rejects, return promise rejected with a rejection reason. Okay. And it looks like we got errors. And is the reason we got errors because, yes, because we're using statuses.search instead of search/tweets. Okay, that looks like it works. So instead now, responses will return a map pluck responses statuses Okay, so we definitely can get our responses. And that is one way to do it. So, okay, let's do it this way. So, we'll do it this way. It is, text is now a promise, URL is a promise. We'll do, back up at the top here, promise equals acquire Bluebird, which we already have because Twit uses it. And we'll do promise.all, text URL. Then, and the function here is with responses. Text equals responses 0. Actually, what we want to do that with is phrase search just returns the data, so we want to do pick and substitute. Substitute, response is 0. URL equals get face URL, response is 1. we can tweet tweet equals compose tweet with text URL. Okay, so this will run phrase search, which will search tweets for things with either of the two phrases given, and then it will return back a responses object that has statuses as in a property that we want to look at for the actual tweets. We're going to take that and pass it to pick and substitute, which will take the statuses property of the data that responded, pass them through the tweet filter, which is checking for slurs, @ mentions, and the length of the message to filter those out. And supposedly only return the text, but let's do a really quick test here, which is get search/tweets q person count is 4, and then the callback, which we will do here, is function error data log pluck data dot statuses, bring back text for each of them, right? That should be what we want to do. Yes, okay, so that only brings back the text for each of those. It's doing what we want it to. So that is being taken care of, and then URL is going to do search of face, which is searching for TV Facebot tweets. Going to take the response there, which again is statuses property on the data that we're calling, which we send through to get face URL here. Then the face URL is going to be the face tweet entities first media object URL property, return that. And then tweet becomes the text that we've made the substitution to, plus the URL for the image. And then we tweet that out. Well, I feel like in practice, this will work. Or sorry, in theory, this will work. In practice is the tricky one. So let's try and run this and see what happens. Oh, actually, while we're here, let's do some quick debugging. Log working with responses. Okay, now let's see what that comes out like. Oh. Node. Oh, right, forgot to pretend that as being part of the function because it is. Function call. Yep, and there's that same typo I made when I was trying to do it in the REPL. Consumer key. Config.consumer key. Just a sec, I'm taking this off the screen for a second so I can check my credentials file. Right, consumer key. Right, yeah, consumer key, access token secret. That's all in there. That should be fine. Really quickly here. Require quit. T equals new twit. Require credentials test. It's not clear to me why that's throwing an error. Cannot read property consumer key of undefined. New Twitter object compile modules. Twit lib fxw index. Yeah, 16. That's where I'm trying to call the new twit call. It is not clear to me why that is causing an issue. So, let me again just go into my node module, my REPL here. Paste that right in. Let's see, credentials.length. Credentials is just not loading at all. Oh, because I didn't put require in front of it. Oh my god. Always the simplest things, you know? Okay, that should work better. There's only so many more silly mistakes that I could have made, so this has to start actually doing something soon. Okay, pick and substitute is not defined. Yep, that was a typo, alright. Pluck is not a function. Really? Oh, is it called pick? That's called pick. Pluck is a function. Where are we getting that error? 34, 38. Yeah, low dash. Again, let's bring up an API reference just to make sure I'm not losing my mind. Pluck is not listed. Pick. Huh, okay, I guess pluck is deprecated? I guess? Okay, well that's fine. Alright, well, let's find my pluck use. Pick. Okay. Array property index of undefined. Status use sample clean tweets. Okay. So let's do this here real quick. Working with data.statuses.length tweets pre-filter. With clean tweets.length tweets post filter. Array property length of undefined. Okay, so data statuses, pick and substitute. Oh, because for pick and substitute we already... No. Let's see, working with responses, data statuses, data error. Statuses, which is object. Oh, I see. Data, responses1.data, because they carry the data and the response element, which I wasn't expecting them to do. 50 tweets pre-filter, undefined tweets post-filter. That's not good. Cleanup candidates. Oh, right, because it should be dot. Yeah, filter tweets, tweet filter. Tweet filter is okay. Let's go with this. Tweet filter. Filter. Looking at text. Yep. All right. Well. That sure is a large emoji on my screen. And it's no good. Log, it's no good. Okay, so we've got a number of these that should be returning fine. Then we return clean tweets.text. Okay, log filtering for picking. Tweets. After filtering before picking, 17 tweets. Working with undefined tweets post filter. Okay, which obviously means that this pick is not working like it should. And so if we just do clean tweets equals, oh, because I passed it a property instead of making it the second argument. Don't know why I would have done that, but there we go. After filtering before picking, 20 tweets, working with undefined tweets post filter again. Clean tweets equals dot pick clean tweets text. Example. Oh. Okay, so example, this does have a text element to it. So if I were to pick text from that, then I should have no problem. After picking. Okay. Okay, well, clearly I'm trying to get too clever for my own good here. So let's just do it. Map clean tweets, function tweet, return tweet.text. Okay. Working with 18 tweets post filter. Can't read properly entities of undefined. Okay, so we've got our text putting together more or less working. Now I've got to figure out why it's not reading entities off of this. Face tweet is sample of data statuses. Okay. Log get face URL. Working with face tweet. Yep, so face tweet isn't working at all. Let's do it really quick. So log data.statuses.length. And again, maybe check Lodash and see if sample is actually still the right thing I'm supposed to be calling. Yep, gets a random element from the collection, so that much I've got right. Okay, we'll run it again. Sorry, console statuses.length is statuses.length. Oops. Can't read property length of undefined. Okay, so that's already a problem. So what are we pulling back from there? Working with responses. Yeah, this one's only giving me an error. So search face tweets.search Q is from. Oh, right, again, because it should be search/tweets. There we go. Okay, so we've got all that. And let's get rid of this for now. Anything else? Let's see, we don't really need this either. Get face working with, tweet filter looking at. Let's not expose ourselves to that. Leave the and it's no good call there. Okay. Yeah, okay, my face when it rains. Just my face when space. Okay, quote login res dot data dot text. Okay. My face when my baby's sick. Frowny face. Face when people touch my shit without asking. My face when my friends are happy. Aw. Okay. And so now, if we go to the test account here, all right, it's pretty much working now. That wasn't too bad. It's really gross, and it took me longer to get to than I thought it would, but a lot of that was because I haven't actually written a node thing up in a while, and I wasn't looking at any of my prior stuff, just trying to see what I could do off the dome. And it looks like we got a working bot now. Let me just run it a couple times with its actual credentials. Just let me see, working with data status is length, tweet's length, face tweet, yeah, we don't need that. So let's just do this to console.log. Using face image URL. Okay, so let's run this a couple times. 22 post filter. Let's get rid of this, and it's no good call. Okay, my face when everyone spells TV shows. My face when Ari keeps noticing shit. Face when messages don't go through. Face when my sister tells me I'm spoiled. So now if we go to the actual my face when underscore sh. Yes, we are tweeting. So now I just need to set this up as a cron job, give it a space of a couple hours between tweets, maybe expand out the number of tweets that I'm pulling in from TV Facebot to keep the range of possibility up. In fact, let me just do that right now. And of course, there's more that you could do to make this better. Better search terms, better filtering of just maybe stripping out hashtags and things like that. In fact, let me do that right now also. Slice.substart, replace hashtag word characters, hashtag followed by A to Z 1 to 9 plus and right, hashtag followed by anything like that. Yes, replace that with nothing. Globally. Okay, and let's also do status to use dot to lowercase index of when. Okay, and so now that should strip out hashtags and make sure that we're matching even when. Yeah, okay. And again, we also might want to truncate the end of sentence or line to do replace ending with colon or dot 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 or random emoji. Now, there's a lot of other things that we could be doing here to make this better. But the way it is right now works, which is a better position than we were in not too long ago. Anyway, that's it. That is our, what is it, 75 lines of code, a JSON file holding our credentials, and about as much time debugging typos and misremembered function parameter calls as there was actually putting the code in. Anyway, thanks for watching if you did, and I hope this recording actually worked. Have a great night.